when did you first go out onto a job site?
Probably when I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Wow.
What's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm the host of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, the show that is dedicated on bringing on passionate people, learning about their stories, and delivering value to entrepreneurs. So if that's what you're interested in, go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, sitting across the way, I have Mr. Douglas Hiatt.
Hyatt. Hyatt. People say that all the time. Then they ask me if it starts
Hyatt.
with, has a Y, and I said if it has Y, I'd be rich, and that's why I'm here. So it's
Fantastic.
spelled with an I, yes, sir.
Hyatt. Well, Douglas Hiatt, welcome to the show. Douglas is with Hyatt Construction.
Yes, sir.
Which is a construction company that recently got everything moving.
Yep.
And I'm super interested about hearing the story of how everything started. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor. Thank you for having me on. I'm Douglas Hiatt. I'm the owner and operator of Hyatt's Construction. Right now, we're a small team. We had our first legal year in business last year. We surpassed our revenue goal that we wanted to do, and so we're going to double that this year, hopefully, and time will tell. But yeah, we're a smaller company based out of Statesboro, Georgia, and we go all the way from Savannah to Augusta.
So construction is actually something that's really interesting, right? I think a lot of people have interest in it. Building, what has been your experience? Why did you choose construction?
Because I grew up in it.
Okay.
I didn't have a father figure when I was a kid, or my father wasn't in the picture. So I wanted to do a lot of manly stuff that usually would be like led by a man, a father figure. But I did have my uncle there most of the time. So my uncle was in the construction industry since he was 30. He's 69 now. And so, he's been doing it for years, and he taught me a lot that I know. So I kind of grew up in it. Summers I'd work in his business. I'd work for the businesses that he would work for. We would do all kinds of projects. And so I just fell in love with it, and I have a passion for it. So
That's awesome. When did you first go out onto a job site?
probably when I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Wow. What were you doing there?
Really just cleanup, wearing a hard hat and a safety vest, the PPE, which is, high visibility shirts or hats or whatever you wear so that, people on equipment and stuff like that can see you.
Yeah.
And I felt like such a big shot, and I probably didn't belong on the job site I was on. It was probably 70 people on the job site at that time, everybody running around. But, that's probably my first experience.
That's awesome. When you were younger, so I guess you were part of the cleanup crew?
Yeah.
Do you remember any other experiences that kind of like had a lasting impact on you?
Not a lasting impact then, but once I was becoming, like an adult, in my teens, and I'd go to job sites, people would tell me I didn't know anything. And so that gave me the fire in me to keep going. Like, that was the lasting impact that I had, because you're never going to know everything.
Sure.
And I have a goal to know as much as I can. As long as you have a mindset that you're going to learn every day, you're going to go far, and you're going to learn more. And once you focus on learning, then you can, start to experience different things that you thought you would never, ever do. So, when older folks on the job site would say I don't know anything, it just put a fire in me that, I need to know that. So
was that typical?
It was typical. Construction industry is very, very black and white. Obviously it's a blue collar industry.
Yep.
And there's a lot of, they push you harder, I think, than most industries. And so it's kind of one of those industries, you just have to put your head down and you have to do the work, but you also have to understand and know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
In terms of construction, I think there's multiple different areas, right? There's kind of like residential, there's custom homes, there's spec houses, there's all these commercial, like there's all these different types of construction projects.
Right.
What is it that you guys specialize in?
Residential, and hopefully next year we can start getting into the light commercial or commercial aspect, but obviously we need to be a little bit bigger team. But I mean, residential is where I want to focus right now. Renovations and remodels, even doing flips for investors. So, which is a side note, is one of the biggest things we're going to do this year starting next month. So
love that.
Looking forward to that. And obviously, just providing a safe and nice place for a family. Not everybody can afford, nice housing or what have you. And we're definitely not that company that puts paint on a pig and turns it over. If I would rename the company, it'd be like Purpose Construction, because we have purpose and we have morals, and we put that behind every single project we do.
Oftentimes, I've worked with construction before.
Right.
It's almost a very, what's a good way to put it? A dark art, if you will.
It is.
Just because, it's oftentimes very difficult to pinpoint like how everything is done.
Exactly.
And so one of the things that is standing out to me right now as you're saying that is like, okay, well, we all want to try to be the liaison and be able to explain everything that it is that we're doing. Why do you think that the construction industry is like that?
Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. There's so many people or companies out there that say, hey, this is what it is. This is the product. That's it. Mm-hmm. We bring explanation of everything step by step, the best we can.
Sure.
Obviously, if we're doing a renovation or a remodel and, tearing down walls, doing this, doing that, once you open up something, you really don't know until it's behind there. You're making a assumption that everything's going to go correctly. Obviously, in construction, that never happens, right? You run into issues here and there, but, it's like just having morals and having a purpose of providing job. It's not getting the paycheck for us.
Yeah.
It's providing the product for the client.
Yeah.
So, and obviously that comes with the paycheck, but it's about the purpose and the upfront, and being honest with them.
Yeah.
Construction industry is, some people think that it's easy, or that everything's going to go right. And so you give this perception to people that, they perceive it as everything's going to go right. It's not going to cost me any more money, this and that. So that's why I'm so honest, because the construction industry is, we want everything to go perfect. But then when things go downhill, you have to have, a solution. Mm-hmm. And not many have a solution. So, it's about backing yourself, backing your word, and backing your work.
Yeah. That's awesome. When you take that to clients and you bring that energy, do you feel like that's, do people enjoy that?
They do. And, there's many clients that have had worked with other companies before, and I don't pride myself on being the best or anything like that. We obviously strive and we want to be the best. But when we explain these stuff to clients and like step by step and correct materials to use or different ways to lay tile or install flooring or painting, what have you, they look at me like a deer in the headlights, because no other contractor or no other people that they've used have explained these things. Mm-hmm. So, that's another thing is, they get to learn with what you already know. Sure. But then I get to learn what I'm doing right.
Sure.
Because, if you don't have a client that, or a client that knows everything, you get to step in and learn. But then you also get to teach them too if they don't know. And so that's very important.
That's right. There was a question in here that I was curious about is you mentioned that no one's ever explained to them before.
Right.
Where did you learn to provide this level of service?
So it probably goes back to the time that I had, I worked in the restaurant industry.
Let's go. Restaurant hospitality,
that's
baby.
Right. So You have to have like customer service, and every business has that.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they need it.
Uh-huh.
And so even if you're wrong when you give a plate to somebody, or a pizza that, might be missing a topping, or, you deliver pizzas or you deliver food and you're 15 minutes late, you don't have to have an excuse. Just explain to them and be nice to them.
Yeah.
And respect the fact that they wanted their food 30 minutes earlier, what have you. So you have to be accepting.
Yeah.
And so, when you're working or you're doing projects, or you're serving pizza, what have you, you always have to have a smile on your face. You always have to, be honest. And so honest goes a long way.
Yeah.
And, some people might take that a different way, but, honesty is key. So,
what type of restaurant you work at?
I worked at, it was a bar restaurant. It was called The Other Place at the Lighthouse.
Okay.
In Winthrop Harbor, Illinois, where I'm from.
Okay.
And it was probably the biggest restaurant in that town until it closed a couple years ago, because she wanted to move out of state.
Uh-huh.
So it was big. I mean,
How many square feet?
I'd probably say 4,500 to 5,000 square feet.
Wow.
But like, we probably had over 100 plus deliveries every night. We probably had 30 or 40 people in the bar every night, excluding weekends. It was crazy on the weekends. But I mean, I opened up, I prepped dough, prepped veggies, prepped pizza. I mean,
It was a pizza spot?
it was a pizza spot. I mean, we cooked all kinds of food. I
Yeah.
mean, steaks, burgers, everything, fish fry Friday. And so it was a very good place to learn customer service. Even I started as a dish boy. Within 2 years, I was, delivering. I was running the registers. I was, everything, taking in orders. So, and even stepping in at the bar, restocking, stuff like that. And like, when you do any of that in the restaurant industry, there's always customers around. So you need to interact with them. You need to put a smile on their face, make sure that they're happy with everything. The biggest thing, which is the smallest thing in the restaurant industry that I learned, always give napkins. You don't know how many times I've went to a restaurant and they don't give you napkins. They only give you silverware.
Okay.
So just noticing that they needed a napkin, bringing that to them without them even asking, always put a smile on their face.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. I actually instruct my teams, right? Because I have 2 restaurants.
Right.
And I tell them about, the level of service that I expect. And there's one thing that I always push. It's like, I want you to be able to get something or whatever the customer needs to them before they even know that they need it.
Right.
Which goes back to the napkin example.
Definitely.
It's like being able to almost guess or anticipate is a better word.
Yes, sir.
And I feel like that has potentially even carried over into your entrepreneurship in construction as well, because at any given point you are anticipating the needs of the customer.
Correct. And yeah, so like whenever I send quotes out for the construction business, they're like, hey, maybe we'll talk about this. So I always keep in my notes and in my systems that they gave me the option of kind of quoting them for the said project that they wanted in the future. So, once a month, every couple months, I'll send another email. Hey, just thinking about, our talk, we had a couple months ago. You said you wanted to get some painting done, what have you, and, some people, things are tight, but they still want to get stuff done, or they want to do it in the springtime or summertime or what have you. So I always try to keep those ideas down, because like whatever they tell you, you need to be like a sponge.
Yeah.
You need to take it all in. And, you also want to keep them as a client. And so, interacting with them and remembering what they say as far as a future project, you always have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So
would you say that your experience in the restaurant industry had any impact on you as a business owner?
yes. And that's because I was head of the downstairs kitchen. When I first started, there was a lot of older guys, 5 to 10 years older than what I was at the time. And I learned a lot from them But when they stepped out or when they left, I was like the second up. Like I was there. So I had to run like just a pizza, which was in the downstairs in the basement where all the ovens were. I had to run that and run everybody and get the deliveries out on time and run the ovens and make sure everything was stocked up. I mean, you were running circles all night. But I interacted with the owner a lot. And I feel like her telling me, good job. Thank you for this. Thanks for, thinking of that. Hey, I noticed you did this without me asking, stuff like that. So like when you interact with the owner a lot, which, some owners are not, they're kind of out of town or they want to travel. They want everything to run seamlessly, in the background. Sure. But she wasn't like that. And so then when I had to step into the delivery route and I had to train people and I had to, evens are on one side of the street, odds are on the other. Like it was stuff like that. So, if you did have a one-way street, which way to go, which side of the street it was on, just training people like that, just to remember numbers for addresses. Like it's harder than you think.
Yeah.
And so then I had to step into, being a busboy and a dishwasher again to train people. And so it's not like I was a big shot at this restaurant, but she always looked at me like a helper. She always looked at me like a leader.
Yeah.
I felt like. And so it kind of led me to help, others in the construction industry and like help my team and, all the other contractors that we deal with and we work with. The leadership thing is one that I hold to my heart the most because you can't be a leader if you're a dictator. And, there's a lot of people who have like a dictator mindset in the restaurant industry, and ours was by far not like that. And so we had a lot of leadership, a lot of roles that we had to fill, and we filled them. And it was all with leaders. And so that's what kind of led me to be a leader and open my own construction business.
So even in the construction business, how do you exemplify that?
Don't let your employees pay for their mistakes. Let them understand that whatever mistake that they made, financially, whatever, messed up materials, cut materials wrong, demoed the wrong wall, we'll get it taken care of. But like in my company, you only get one strike. You only get one strike because we respect that, if you're going to continually make mistakes like that, obviously it comes, you're going to go bankrupt or,
Sure.
you can lose a job. And it just me leading them is going to allow them to make mistakes or almost make a mistake and then stop them. And so you have to allow people to learn because if they don't make a mistake, a lot of times you don't learn. And so like that's things that during life, like you have to experience it.
Sure.
And, my aspect is, always learn from others' mistakes, but then there's going to be other mistakes that you're not going to learn from other people that you're going to learn yourself.
Yeah.
And so, in the construction industry, things are expensive, but just don't make them pay for it because, then they're going to be scared. Then they're going to be slower, then, they're not going to think like they will, if you don't make them pay for it.
I actually track with you on that. I have something that I often say, which is like, I understand mistakes will happen, but don't let the same mistake happen twice.
Exactly.
Right? So, there's that kind of like that balance in there. Let's kind of shift, maybe some value for our listeners out there.
Okay.
Maybe they have a construction project at the house that they want to do.
Yeah.
What are some things that you would ask them to look out for when they are seeking a professional company to come help them get their job done?
I would definitely say referrals. Referrals are big, and it's an honest question to ask any contractor. There's so many contractors or companies out there that people know of, but then when you ask for a good one, there's only a couple that they can name.
Sure.
And so you always want to ask your friends, you always want to ask your family, and then when you're driving through town or, you're going places, and if you see a construction company that's in your area that you may want to consider, peek your head in there, see what work they do, firsthand, call referrals. And so, I think that that's the biggest thing, because, a lot of construction companies do things different.
Sure.
But if they have so many good referrals, that's not just family. I mean, it's probably the best thing that you could do is ask for referrals.
Yeah. What about so the way that, from my understanding, that construction work is that there's the contractor, right? And then below them there's like the subs, right?
Right.
Why is there this kind of like distance between these two? Like, how come that's the case?
So, a lot of people, my subs don't look at me like the way that I'm about to explain, but a lot of contractors hold themselves high, that they're better, and they always look, a lot of times they look down. But if you're up here and you look down, that's everybody below you. That's what actually makes it happen. A famous thing, not famous, but the wording I always say is, you're always good as your team. You're always good as your subcontractors. If your subcontractors are not good, you're not good either.
Sure.
But if you appreciate your contractors, even just little things that I do is I don't try to negotiate or beat my subcontractors down on their price a lot. I don't like doing that because everybody has to make money. Everybody has to feed their family. I want a nice life for everybody. And some contractors, they always look at the contractor or the person who's giving them the job that they're almighty. So there's a little bit of the difference, and then plus they're the ones doing the work, which like my company, we do probably 50 or 60% of the work. And then the others I do have subcontractors for.
Oh, so you have everybody internal.
And I use the same subcontractors, same the painters, drywallers, et cetera. So and we all respect each other.
Yeah.
If there's an issue, we get it done and over with and we move on. We don't hold, we hold each other accountable, which is the biggest thing. But, I deal with these guys all the time. I buy them lunch when I can. And that's just the biggest thing, I'm going to work through lunch just so I can get this done.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to stop and eat lunch. You know? It's just little stuff like that, And so, if you care and you show your subcontractors that you care, you'll get so much more value out of that.
That's huge. What do you think the future of Statesboro looks like?
Probably in the next, I would say, 6 to 8 years is probably not going to be recognized. I think it's going to blow up and it's going to be like a massive city.
When we say massive, we talking about what?
Like expanding. I feel like, there's probably going to be, 15 to 20,000 more people here in the next couple of years. I feel like, students are going to want to stay in town because there's so many restaurants, there's so many industries moving into Statesboro or near Statesboro that, there's so many college jobs, that are affordable and, that, will allow them to stay here. And Statesboro with Tormenta coming in, and, just these couple other restaurants that are coming in, now Publix. I mean, I haven't been to Publix and it not be packed.
Yeah.
And Statesboro is booming and I can't wait to see the growth.
What do you plan on doing because in order to have that growth, you have to have the infrastructure.
Correct.
How is your company going to position themselves to take advantage of the growth that's coming? So
I've reached out to a lot of builders and a lot of contractors in our area, from one end to the other, saying, hey, this is what we do, if we can offer anything. And I know, construction companies are like mine, very tight with subcontractors, what have you. But the way I look at it too is we are willing to double the size of our company, which we're real small right now, but we're willing to double it this year, which will be our second year of business. We want to double that, but we need the work to double. Well, other contractors, they might have quotes and work coming in and, hey, we're swamped. We're 6 months out. Well, why don't you go another 6 months out and we'll help you get there. we'll help you grow if you
Yeah.
help us grow.
Sure.
And so, it's kind of like, shaking hands on a deal. Like, you do your end, I'll do my end. And like, I want everybody to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be the biggest company, but I want to be the company that everybody knows, and honors and has respect for.
Yeah.
So, just being 25 years old, I opened it last year when I was 24, and just, we had like a $250,000 revenue goal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did 350.
Mm-hmm.
So now this year we're going to shoot for 750.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not about the money. It's about building the relationships with the clients, and just, and trying to do that within Statesboro, I think is going to be very good for us as a company, because we love Statesboro.
Yeah.
We're based out of Statesboro. We're here.
Yeah.
And, we're going to, take it by the horns and we'll ride through it. So
That's awesome. What advice would you have for somebody that's interested in the construction industry? How does one get started?
So I'm not against going to school for construction. However, construction industry is very experience-based. So if you can get your hand in a part-time job, even if it's cleaning up, there's so much that I learned being young, that just cleaning up a job site, you can have respect for the job site. You can kind of put pieces together. So like, oh, I don't want to clean up a site. Well, if you want to be in the construction industry, you're going to pick up and you're going to clean up one way or another. And so, that'd be a good place to step in. Or you can even contact us and we can put you on a job. We can teach you. And that's one of the things I want to do, as we grow is have like internships.
Yeah.
And teach people, because, construction industry is very hard. It's very blue collar. And like I said, it's very black and white. So like, you need to be good at it, but you just have to understand and respect what you're doing. So you either can go to school, project managing or construction management,
Mm-hmm.
or just reach out to a company and, say, hey, if there's any way that, I can learn a little bit and see if I want to go into this industry, that's what I would do.
Love that. How do people get in contact with you?
You can contact us on our Facebook business page, our Instagram business page, and it's all Hyatt's Construction, Hyatt's with an S, Construction. You can contact us by phone or email, which is on both of those. And yeah, we love Statesboro, and we want to help all the clients that live in Statesboro. So
Awesome. Well, I thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing a little bit about your story. I think it's a phenomenal thing that you're starting out at such an early age, and really excited about kind of your future. I think that the approach that you're taking, because of influences from potentially the restaurant industry,
Yep.
has definitely had a way of shaping the direction. And I think that customer service is something that everybody needs. So super excited about the future for you, man.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for coming to the show.
you. Thank you.